Hey guys, welcome back to Community Kitchen for Game Sandwich. I am John Hansen. That is Kalo. He usually brings you the lowdown on everything new in gaming. And this time we've got yet again the more bad news for you as WB Games has shut down Monolith Productions, Player First Games, and WB San Diego, I believe. If you don't know, Monolith has been making games for over 30 years. They're best known lately for Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, and Shadow of War, two absolutely brilliant games. Before that, I've got a list of their games right here. They made Condemned, they made Fear. This is a studio with pedigree. And then Player First Games made Multiversus, which you'll know is the Smash-like platformer fighter that did awesome in its beta, but then for some reason they took the game offline for a year and brought it back and it was worse. And they thought that was okay. Of course, WB acquired Player First Games less than a year ago and shut them down now. This whole thing is a complete mess. Kalo, what are your takeaways from this news? Oh, I should also throw out the Wonder Woman game that Monolith was working on. Canceled.
That's the one that got me the most out of everything. Obviously, people losing their jobs, never good to see. Closures, it's like every other week, every other month, we're talking about this. But the idea, allegedly, that they spent $100 million on that Wonder Woman game, and then they were like, we're gonna maybe revamp it. It had the Nemesis system in it, apparently. I saw that rumor out there. And then they're like, yeah, we're just gonna revamp it, and we're gonna need more time and more money. Absolute, the grossest level of mismanagement I've ever seen with studios, games, everything. And I've seen a lot. We've talked about a lot.
I mean, that's just the story of WB Games over the last, let's say, 7 years or so. Look at the Suicide Squad situation, and just pretty much everything except for Hogwarts Legacy has been a disaster for WB Games. And it all comes down from the top. If you look up the story of the Wonder Woman game, I wrote about this. Jason Schreier had a report just earlier this month about how the Wonder Woman game was in danger and everything, where after Shadow of War, that story was finished up, so Monolith was like, okay, we have to make a new game. And they started making a new IP, and WB was like, well, no, we have all these IP that we want to make use of, which, from a business sense, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But then they were trying to force the Nemesis system that they patented back in 2016. They were trying to force it in to work with these IPs. It started out as a Constantine game. Well, they didn't like that, so then it went to Wonder Woman, and it was a game about her befriending her enemies and all that. But then there was another report that, WB didn't like that, so they took out the Nemesis system and just made it into a basic action game, which who knows how that would have turned out and how it would have been. Just everything surrounding the Wonder Woman game sounds like it was a mess. Apparently the leadership for Monolith completely left in 2021, so not only were Monolith forced to make this completely new game that was being revamped all the time, but they had to hire new leadership at the same time. This doesn't sound doable. So yeah, this is just a massive load of corporate mismanagement and just higher-ups not getting out of the way of people trying to make these games. You could say the same thing for Multiversus. Maybe a lot of that game's problems were done by the Player First Games team themselves. I don't know. I don't know the story there, but I just can't see a world where they willingly took the game off the market for a year without corporate being like, yeah, you should do this. It doesn't make sense.
This whole thing, top to bottom, is weird, mainly because, like you're saying, this is across multiple studios, multiple games, multiple projects. I almost want to ask the question, not to put the blame on this game, But do you think Hogwarts Legacy, the success that game's seen, do you think that kind of skewed the vision for everything else in its wake? Like, oh, we did something there. And now that's the standard in which this game has to live by, this one has to, and how do we turn everything else into that? Do you think that's what happened, maybe? Like, the suits were like, yeah, money, of course, we're gonna follow it.
Well, it's the same thing that's coming down across the entire gaming industry right now. When you look at AAA thing, anything that's trying to put out live service games right now, they want to be Fortnite. They want to be the one multiplayer game that you are always playing. They want you to play nothing else. Always come back to our game because we are dumping in tons and tons of money. We're putting all these giant IPs into it. This is the one game you should play. And the same lesson that we've been seeing for the last 4 or 5 years now is this market is completely saturated. There is no room for a game to grow. If you do grow in this, it's not going to be Fortnite. You can't have Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft, Call of Duty, all these other live service games that are just massive hitters. There's no room for someone like me, say I play a ton of Overwatch. There's no room for me to be committed to that game and all the investments I've made into it and then move over to the new game like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Like, yeah, I love the Batman Arkhamverse. The whole handling of that story is a different conversation. But, like, okay, I can see why they're like, okay, yeah, bring them over. But the way they manage that, it's like, Rocksteady is a single-player developer. They're not made... They haven't made good multiplayer games. So, yeah, no, this is a bunch of suits getting those dollar signs in their eyes, and they're like, okay, we have to get the big money here, and then it fails, even though they make Hogwarts Legacy a single-player game, and it's the best-selling game of 2023. And remember, they came out of that year like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go forward making live service games. Like, that was the big quote coming out from them. It's like, what are you talking about? We have the lesson right here. This is what people want. And you're going away from that? It doesn't make sense.
What bugs me, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Monolith hasn't released a game since 2017. Is that correct there? Fact statement?
Yeah, Shadow of War.
So, first of all, that's a problem. And then to expect, all right, $100 million into a game, you don't see it. We haven't seen it. Like, what is this game to begin with? The Wonder Woman game. It's like we've seen that weird, like, where she's like flashing, like, all different poses, whatever. That's all we've seen out of a game, and you have all this money behind it. Let alone, let's just say PlayStation drops the State of Play, and it's like, oh, the Wonder Woman game's there. Whatever. I don't know. But still, we haven't seen anything. Lord of the Rings, like the Shadow of War, all that Nemesis system, again, it all goes back to that where it's like, you've had this patented, you've had this under your control, yet you haven't done anything with it. Like, that system, for people who don't know, like, let's just say you walk up to a random orc, you cut off his arm, he'll go back to his camp and he survives, but then he'll come back with, like, a metal arm, and then he'll be like, I remember you, he'll chase you down till the day you die. Like, it's stuff like that that you don't see in games nowadays, and it's because it's all under one person's control. And I think I seen something this morning where it's like, they have that till 2026 or something. So
36.
Oh, 36.
2036, yeah, because patents last 20 years, and they filed it in 2016. So it is going to be there until 2036. The one team that knows how to work with that system now is gone. So it is just sitting there doing nothing for at least the next 11 years.
Yeah, and to say, like, their reasoning to focus on our big IP, like Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, DC, whatever. I looked at that Game of Thrones game they recently announced. That's not moving the needle for many people. Mortal Kombat recently released. They had problems with the DLC they're releasing. Apparently they're not supporting, whatever. DC, what's happening there, let alone with the movies and the games? Again, you're investing in these properties that should, in theory, on paper, should be home run hits. But we're sitting here, studio closure, nothing to show for. It's just outrageous. We talked about Tango Gameworks. We've talked about Concord. We've talked about X, Y, and Z. It's like, when is one of these studios going to wake up and realize, hey, this is like the 15th time this has happened in gaming? Maybe we should change. Maybe. I don't know. It's so weird. I don't know. The business talk gets me too crazy here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's just the way corporate heads are running all these companies is having a very negative effect on gaming. We see it everywhere right now. Since 2023, there's been like over 30,000 layoffs, and everyone's complaining about live service games and this is wrong, that is wrong. It all comes from the top. Like, this is all gaming in the AAA space is in a terrible spot right now because everyone wants to be Fortnite, and they can't budge from that. The profits aren't big enough for what we put into this. We can't do this. It's so maddening. Yeah.
It also makes me mad, again, getting back to the Nemesis system. Like, sure, like, patent your mechanics, whatever you want to do with that. But
real quick, I hate that. Software mechanics in a video game shouldn't be patented. I don't care who it is, Nintendo, WB, Xbox, PlayStation, I don't care. If it's hardware, okay, I get that. That is a physical thing you're making. A system in a video game should not be locked off to one company. I fucking hate that. It's so stupid. It's the same thing with like Crazy Taxi, which that patent ran out in recent years, but for 20 years, there was no way to make a Crazy Taxi game because Sega wasn't doing anything with it. You only had, like, the Simpsons game, which found a loophole around it. But from what it looks like, there's no loophole in the Nemesis system patent. You can't, like, just change something and make your own Nemesis system. There's just no way to work with that now. That is one of the coolest ideas gaming has had in the last decade, and it's just stuck in nothing land right now.
It pains me because I'm sitting here as a fan of like The Legend of Zelda and seeing what they're doing with Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. It's like, imagine that system in that game. Or let's just say with Halo Infinite, what they did there. Imagine like you fight a brute and he comes back to hunt you down. Like, again, it's just these simple things. Like, it's a what if scenario. But at the same time, you're sitting here, studio closed. I don't know, like, do they get picked up by somebody somewhere down the line, like a revamped studio? Maybe, most likely, they'd be smart to get picked up by somebody. Xbox, wake up. There's Monolith right there, that whole team. But I don't know, it's just... It's the Nemesis system being under lock. It's Wonder Woman, $100 million. Absolutely nothing there. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. That game was in shambles, and it continued to be in shambles way after it launched. I don't know. How do you even recover? Like, how do you release your next game, WB Games? Does anyone have faith in that anymore?
No. Everything coming out of WB right now. If I'm working at any of the studios that are left, for Key Games, Rocksteady, just name any WB development team right now, I'm looking to get out of there because it's just a mess, and I don't want to be there when my time comes to be laid off.
Rocksteady, I'm surprised they survived after Suicide Squad, but hey, I guess that's good, you know?
Monolith, like I said, has been around for 30 years. Like, that means no one is safe from being cut. Portkey Games, if the next Harry Potter thing that they're working on, if that starts going bad, like, we could see them just gone within the next decade. Rocksteady, like you said, they just had a disaster in Suicide Squad. If this Arkham game that they're working on, supposedly, if that starts having issues, they could be gone. Like, no one is safe right now under the WB name. And you mentioned like other teams coming in to save them, and Xbox has closed down their own studios last year. There's no way they're bringing on more money. My thing is just like going to the Monolith leadership and being like, hey, you want to go independent? Like, let them get some money out of whoever owns it next. Like, try and sell them off or something. But like,
Yeah.
the fact that they're just closing it, just like completely getting rid of all of it, it sucks, man.
It does. It does. It never gets easy. And like, let's just say this story came without the studio closures being, hey, Wonder Woman was canceled. That's been in the cards for what seems like ages now, that game would never see the light of day. It's just, again, gross mismanagement by higher-ups all over. And again, you're just thinking WB. It's Mortal Kombat. It's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Big, big characters within pop culture and gaming. And you can't do anything with it. Oh, it gets worse as I go on. I can't talk about it anymore.
It's very frustrating. There's no end in sight, but hopefully things turn around soon. That's going to do it for us, because I think we're just both getting very frustrated here, and we're about to go in circles. Let us know in the comments, though, your thoughts on WB just being a complete shit show. There's no way else to put it. If you liked the video, please like it. Subscribe to Game Sandwich for our future videos, and we will catch you on the next one.
If you enjoyed today's video and want more content just like this, consider subscribing to Game Sandwich for all your news, rumors, and reviews. And we'll see you guys next time.